Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. In this video, we're going to discuss the truth about red meat. Now, before we start, I do know that this is a very controversial subject, and a lot of people are very passionate about, animals being killed and that. But I want to talk about just about the health benefits about actual red meat and really kind of dig deep in what the studies say. First of all, you have to realize that there are multiple studies that disagree with red meat being the source of cancer. Okay. However, the study called the Nurse Health Study, and I'll put the link down below, if you actually read it, states that it increases your risk by 13% of dying of all illnesses or diseases. Okay, so it does increase your risk. So, and they said you need to switch to chicken and whole grains, okay? But let's take a look at what kind of study they actually did to confirm that. First of all, it wasn't an experimental study, it was an observational study based on a questionnaire that was given out every 2 years from 1980 to 2006. Now, I will guarantee when you do a questionnaire for a study, it's not a controlled study. There are so many variables. You can't isolate these variables, like other things that people ate, if they're a smoker or whatnot. So it leaves the things up to a lot of biases, and it's very, very weak. But here's the interesting thing. They always use the word risk. Okay, what does risk mean? Why don't they just say rate of getting cancer or dying? Well, because risk has a different term legally. It actually is more open. It doesn't necessarily mean you have a 13% rate of dying. So it's kind of a big variable there. Now, the other thing is they did not identify if it was grass-fed beef, was it processed beef, was it organic? Was it at McDonald's? They didn't measure that data. Okay, so the question is, what are the real statistics from studies on processed meat? Okay, processed red meat. It's classified as a class 1 carcinogen at the same level as smoking, right? So of course people are freaking out about it. But take a look at like bowel cancer. They found that 3 more incidents of bowel cancer occur per 100,000 people. Okay, 100,000 cases. That's 1 in 33,000 cases. So they have 3 more incidents of bowel cancer. Well, smoking increases your chance by 20x, 20 times more. So that's like, you can't compare those two. It's not really a class 1 carcinogen. Now, what I want to talk about is, I do not believe that there's any risk or any studies that show that consuming grass-fed quality beef will increase your risk of dying at all, or any diseases, okay? Now, the benefit of red meat, and by the way, I consume a lot of red meat. I don't do a lot per sitting. I'll do a small amount, maybe 3 or 4 ounces, but my body feels great on really good red meat. The kind of red meat that I buy, I don't buy the 90% lean. I buy the 85% because that lean stuff, it's harder to digest than when it has fat in it. So that's just a side note. But red meat has more absorbable vitamin D than milk. Okay? It has more B12, B1, B2, B3, B6, B5. It has tons of absorbable iron. It has healthy collagen. It has a good amount of potassium, believe it or not. It has zinc, magnesium, copper, phosphates, and it's loaded with omega-3. In fact, it has 5 times more omega-3. Grass-fed beef has 5 times more omega-3 than grain-fed beef. And the problem with grain-fed is not only sometimes you involve hormones, but you involve the genetically modified GMO soy and corn in the feed. So that's another big problem that I would love for them to do a study on that. So when you do research, I think the problem with doing research is that you're going to actually try to first have a theory, and then you're going to find research to back it up. And that's how people approach it. They have this fixed idea in mind, and now I'm going to find research to back up my theory, and then so I can prove my theory. Rather than do an evaluation on the data and see where it ends up. It's a better viewpoint. Okay, so that's my 2 cents on meat, and thanks for watching. Put your comments below. Hey, before you leave, I just wanted to give you a little quick history on some of the books that I wrote. This was one of the first books. It's called Dr. Berg Body Shapes. It was my attempt at writing about body types. What was very interesting about this book is I actually did all the images myself. Don't ask me why. They look actually not quite as professional as some of the images that I have in the new book. But anyway, this is my first attempt right here called Dr. Berg's Body Shape Diets. And then I wrote a book more extensive called The 7 Principles of Fat Burning. I don't even have a copy anymore, actually, because it's outdated. The next book, I put about 1,000 hours into this one right here called The New Body Type Guide. Major updates on the body types. I put a lot of energy into this. It has professional images, graphics, all sorts of things. Now, the problem with this book is it doesn't really describe what this is really about. Body types are only a small portion of what's in this book. And that's why I changed the name to the Healthy Keto Plan, okay? If you happen to have this book, you don't really need this book because there's some only very, very minor updates. But if you don't have this, you need to get this one right here. This book goes into every single detail that you would ever want to know about. It goes into the 7 principles of fat burning. It goes into hormones, the body types, the basic keto plan. It goes into intermittent fasting. I talk about the 10 fat burning triggers and blockers and fat burning strategies with a lot of details in every single chapter. I go into body issues that interfere with losing weight. There's very few people that just have a weight problem. They have a lot of body issues, whether it's sleeping problems, stress problems, inflammation, menopause. I cover that extensively in this book. Then I talk about how to get rid of stress, and I show you a technique. Then I get into exercising. And then I have a lot of really good recipes in this book as well. So this is a good reference guide. On my website, if you get this book, you get this one free. It's called Healthy Keto and Intermittent Fasting. This is the shortcut, quick guide to this book. And the reason I created this book is to have you, within 45 minutes, learn how to do keto, okay, in intermittent fasting, exactly what you need to do. Then you can fill in the blanks with this book right here. So right now I'm doing a special. If you get this book, you get this one totally free, or you can go to Amazon and get these individually. So I just want to clarify the difference between this book and this updated one right here. If you don't have this, you need to get this right here. That way you can get the exact correct information to do it healthily.